Hi everyone, before we start, I've seen about 75 movies this year, but I haven't seen everything. So on the screen, you're gonna see a list of movies that I missed or haven't gone into wide release yet, so I haven't been able to see. So if these movies you think might stand out in some of these categories, make sure you let me know in the comments. Welcome to I'm Your Target Demographic. We've done a lot of videos about the best of 2016, but finally, we are at our top 10, the best of the best. I've seen over 75 movies, so these are the 10 that you need to see. I've got two honorable mentions that I just couldn't find a place for. They're not probably great movies, but they're movies that I had a really good time with. The first one is Deadpool. I thought was really funny. It is my comedy of the year. It just also had some flaws. It didn't always look great. The visual effects weren't stunning. It just fell a little short. The other one that I had a great time with was Trolls, that I went in expecting a very kid movie, very sterile and kind of stupid, but it is witty and clever and great music, and I had a great time watching Trolls. So those two just barely missed it. So let's dive in to number 10. The Edge of 17. Here we have a high school coming-of-age story about this overly dramatic high school girl. That doesn't sound initially like something that would be up my alley necessarily, but it is witty and smart, and it simultaneously made me remember back to those days and relate to her, but also think about myself growing up as an adult and relating to the adult characters and understanding why they're acting the way that they're acting. And it's just complex and funny and heartwarming and does it all perfectly. The Edge of 17. At number 9, we have the musical Sing Street, about Ireland in the 1980s and a boy who starts a band. And the music is hands down my favorite part. That it's poppy, my favorite genre is like 80s classic rock with just synth and just fun techno beats and all. And this movie has catchy music. But it also has really great performances by a bunch of relative unknowns. It is streaming now on Netflix. If this sounds like something you might be interested, it's great. So Sing Street, number 9. At number 8, we've got Jungle Book. Jungle Book, most of these movies actually surprise me. And maybe that helps to enjoy a movie when you go in with low expectations. But Jungle Book, I was like, they're remaking a lot of these Disney movies. Most of them are fine. So I didn't expect Jungle Book to be great, but it was great. And the one human character is outstanding. This boy, great performance, especially considering he's in a soundstage by himself. He gives a great performance. The visual effects are stunning, some of the best I've ever seen. Just great work all around. It was a tense movie. It was an unpredictable movie because it doesn't exactly follow what the cartoon did. Just a great time overall with Jungle Book. At number 7, I'm going with Zootopia. This is a Disney animation film that tackles racism and privilege in a way that is approachable and funny. It tackles this deep issue in a way that we can talk about it with kids and with each other. It's very interesting, but it's also a very colorful movie, a very funny movie, a very heartwarming movie. It just does it all. Great movie, Zootopia. And number 6, Captain America: Civil War. This is probably one of the best superhero movies I've ever seen. It manages to bring to life everything that I love about comic books. When we're seeing conversations, we're seeing relationships, and we're seeing fights, and we're seeing just all of this build and come together. And we're finally seeing what, after a dozen movies, the foundation is laid. And now we're seeing the fruit of that. We're seeing, okay, we've spent time with all these people, and now let's see them interact. We had all of that topped with incredible fight sequences, It was also very funny. It just did it all. Captain America Civil War is fantastic. And actually the last 4 movies on this list are all on Netflix. So if you haven't seen any of these, Civil War, Zootopia, Jungle Book, and Sing Street are all on Netflix right now, so you have no excuses if you haven't seen any of these. At number 5, we've got Manchester by the Sea. This is a serious movie, but it is also has a lot of heart. I was expecting a very somber movie when I went in because everyone prepared me. They were like, no, this is serious, this is dark, this is tragic. But it's actually a surprisingly bright, hopeful movie, even amidst tragedy. And it's all anchored by some incredible performances by Casey Affleck, Michelle Williams, who will both probably be nominated, as well as a younger guy named Lucas Hedges, who plays this guy whose father just died. And now his uncle, played by Casey Affleck, is trying to figure out what to do with him. Does he take care of him? But as the movie unfolds, you see why he believes that he shouldn't take care of him or why he can't take care of him. And it's heartwarming and touching and tragic. And it's very complicated, but its performances are undoubtedly the best part about it. So Manchester by the Sea. And number 4, we've got La La Land. La La Land is going to win some big awards. It is the Birdman of this year, where it's about performing and theater and music, and it's all of this stuff together, which the folks at the Academy Awards love. So you're going to be hearing a lot about La La Land, but it is also a fun ride. You know, it's catchy music, it's funny performances, it's very heartwarming. I'm saying this about a lot of these movies, but it's true. That's why they're in my top 10. Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone both give incredible performances. And the music is something you're going to go back and just still remember. All the music isn't upbeat. You know, what I picked for my favorite original music of the year is a very haunting piano track that is used throughout the movie at different points to incredible effect. So if you like music, performance, theater, any of that, you will find this movie very relatable. La La Land. We're getting down to it. Here at number 3, we've got Moonlight. Moonlight is about a boy growing up, and we see kind of 3 times in his life. So we see him as a young boy, as a high schooler, and then as an adult. So he's played by 3 different actors who are all incredible, but because of the way the movie is structured, I doubt those actors will receive any sort of award nominations because they're only in a third of the movie, but they are award-worthy performances. Moonlight is a little hard to watch. It is very raw, very real, authentic, but it's real even when it's hard for us to bear. You know, it's things that we have to watch occur that are very real, but in our life outside of here, we can kind of put our blinders on and say, don't see it. Where here you have to confront it, and it's very powerful. So Moonlight, great performances, very authentic, incredible direction, cinematography is beautiful. One of the only movies this year that I've been truly astounded and floored by, and I think is virtually flawless. At number 2, I've got Arrival. Arrival is science fiction in a way that is refreshing. It is not Independence Day, right? So it is not explosions and attacks and corny one-liners. That's all great. But this is a serious look at what would really happen. How would people behave? How would we begin to communicate with an alien species that we share nothing in common with? So it's extremely interesting. And Amy Adams gives a performance that is going to get her some nominations for sure, because the movie is about her and this alien component, but it's also about a much more personal story that the trailers don't really show you. That there is a personal side of her in this arc and this growth that you don't see coming. So Arrival is fantastic. Now, what a journey. My number 1 movie isn't probably the best movie, but it is my favorite movie. I give my number one spot every year to the movie that I find myself trying to convince people to see constantly. What is the movie that you just want to go out and tell people you need to see this? Last year it was Mad Max Fury Road because a lot of people didn't see it. And so I spent a lot of time telling people, go see Mad Max. Like, believe me, go see it. And this year, that movie was Kubo and the Two Strings. No one saw it. Very few people saw it. Most of you probably haven't seen it. It is a work of art. If you haven't seen Kubo, I want you to look up Kubo making of on YouTube when you're done with this video. And I want you just to watch how this movie is made, because it looks like standard animation, which at this point is unimpressive. But when you realize that these are physical models, that they are moving, shooting, moving, shooting, moving, shooting, then these time lapses of how these sequences were shot and created, it is mind-blowing. And so then when you go see Kubo, and you see these action scenes that are some of the best action scenes I've seen this year, and you realize the amount of work that goes into them, it just blows your mind. But even without that, the story is incredibly touching and deep, and there's a sense of world building and mythology that they've done, and the characters are likable and complex. It is just a great movie, layered with the way that the movie was made, makes this my most enjoyable movie of the year, the one that I'm excited to rewatch over and over and over. The one that I want you to go see the most is Kubo and the Two Strings. Okay, so we made it. That's my top 10 of the year. So what were your top 10 movies of the year? Give me your list. We all have different opinions. We all like different sorts of movies. There's gonna be movies that I loved, you didn't love. There's gonna be movies that you loved, I didn't put in the top 10, but that doesn't mean I didn't love them. So share your list with me. I've given you my list. Let's talk about it. This has been a great year for movies. Let's look forward to 2017. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.